Is knocked out. American John Isner knocks out two-time champ Andy Murray. The second-round exit, the earliest ever for Murray at the All-England Club. In the women's draw, two more top 10 seeds knocked out.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Kyrie Irving, this dude is making $36 million. Would he like to make more? I'm sure he would have liked that. It doesn't mean that he's going to be checked out.
More from KJ and Max Thursday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
Isn't this a sports show?
Steve Spagnuolo is a gift. The human race. Really, to the whole planet and all together. I bet animals would love Spags also. Mm-hmm. Actually, I know that's true. Because they're already friends with the honey badger. He's basically Cinderella.
Almost entirely.
Trying to imagine how that would go.
I actually am right now, yeah. I am, and it's awesome.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
What is that, a glass slipper? Is that for my left foot? Is that going to fit on my foot?
The ball was yesterday?
Wait, what time do we have to go home? Is it midnight?
Oh, is it? Listen.
What time is it?
Good morning, guys.
Wait a second, is that turned into a pumpkin? What time? Is it AM or PM? Midnight or noon?
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
You tell me this horse was a rat?
Wait, what? The horse is a rat?
Why is it wearing your shirt?
What's going on with the horse and the rat? Where's my honey badger?
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
It hasn't been a great time to talk about the Kansas City Royals over the last week or so, but we had a chance to talk about them tonight, and they did us a favor. They won a baseball game, gosh darn it. That gives us something. 500th career start for Zach Greinke. Got out of an early jam, right? And you get a little 2-1 W. We can say some positive sounding things about the Royals on tonight's show. That hasn't been true for a while for a lot of reasons.
Finney hit a ball hard. 2 balls hard.
And he got on base.
No hit.
Twice.
But did get on base twice.
I mean, what else could you ask for? His OBP is already rebounding.
Ice Pyro, I will take a mocha latte, please.
Oh, what's the...
He asked if anybody wants a drink, Ron.
I'll tell you what I did earlier today and then realized shortly before the show that I definitely need to go get it. I love the not an ad, everybody, not a sponsor, but I love the Lipton Diet Green Tea Citrus. I've enjoyed both the regular and diet versions of this since I was a youngin'. Pre-diabetes. And the Costco Diet Green Tea is great. The Lipton Citrus one, I think, is still the number 1 seed. It's a tight race for 1 and 2 between those two, but this is still number 1 for me. I put this in the freezer earlier today, took it out a little before the show, shook it up. I basically got a little green tea kind of slushy going on. You hear those ice bits swirling around in there? So Ice Pyro, if I could just get maybe another 12-pack of these, maybe go and throw one in the freezer on your way up here, and then just drop them off at the station, that'd be great. Appreciate it. I don't know why I paused if I was waiting for him to respond. I don't think he can, at least not in real time. Although our Twitch stream is not very far delayed at all. In fact, the Twitch stream, here's a fun fact for you. If you don't know, Almost Entirely Sports, we stream across a variety of video platforms, now also including the Sports Radio 810 WHB Twitter account, which is a relatively new addition. Hi, Twitter. You can watch us on the 810 Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or Twitch. We're in 4 places now. And on Twitch, at least, the delay is going to actually be shorter than the delay over live radio.
It's fast.
It's like a couple seconds. We had a 6-second delay here in case I say a word I'm not supposed to say.
7 seconds. By the way, Ice Pyro says it is a 12-hour drive that Monster Rehab is his go-to caffeine. So Ice Pyro, get about 12 hours of good sleep. You don't need to be here in 12 hours. We won't be here in 12 hours. I might, but we won't.
We'll be here in 24 hours.
Get about 12 hours of good sleep.
That's good.
Grab a couple Monster Rehabs. Make a quick 12-hour drive.
Yeah, don't stop because we're going to need you to get here before 7. Otherwise, what's the point? Anyway, I enjoy a nice array of beverages. I'll say it. I'm not afraid. You know what I'm not afraid of? is the guest list for tonight. We have our friend Kent Swanson of KC Sports Network. He's been we've had some Wednesdays off and on. He's been away off and on. So we get our reunited, and it will feel so good with Kent Swanson of KCSN here in about like 10 or 15 minutes. So if you don't like where the show started, you don't have to wait very long before it gets better. When Kent will join us at around 7:20ish. And then at 9, we will close out the hour, close out the show even, with our dear friend Sterling Holmes of the Home Stretch. Sometimes I go do a little Brisco Friday over on ESPN Kansas City with Sterling on the Home Stretch. Sometimes that Friday is a Thursday. Sometimes that Thursday is a Wednesday.
No show Friday, KC Current.
We got a little current action here.
7:30.
I was going to just say 7, so I'm glad that I'm sure there's going to be something happening at 7.
Because there will be a Best of Sports Radio 810 WHB.
You could tune in at 6 a.m. You could be tuned in right now and never change the channel away.
Shouldn't.
Don't.
Leave your car. Hey, I'm not saying you have to listen to the station for 24 hours every day, but leave your car running with the radio on 24 hours a day. Gas is cheap right now, so I know it's not a problem.
Gas is cheap and the environment is great. Run your car 24/7 as a constant, just 810 listener.
I wouldn't say the environment's great, but that's largely because of this global climate fake news stuff that's out there, you know?
Gas is cheap and the climate is fine. Anyway.
I almost said it's not warm outside, but it's very warm.
It's too hot outside.
It's too hot.
This is something we discussed on the home stretch earlier today. I'll make a brief circle back around. I think my least favorite, body feeling is driving in a hot car as the air conditioner is trying to get there. You can feel it starting to work a little more as you get going more and more, and it cycles that air out and everything. But by the time I get to here, let's say I've been driving for 15 minutes and it's finally started to cool down. I've spent 15 minutes trying to arch my back away from the chair so I'm not just pressed up and just fully sweating into my stupid gray t-shirt. Dumb choice today. I like the shirt. It's a soft 810 shirt. I like it. But I'm just about to sweat through my lower back and my pits and that, the I guess under boob area, for lack of a better word. You get that one single drop of sweat.
I mean, that's the scientific term, so you're fine.
I think it is. We've got, weirdly, word association game to the word underboob. I think of one person. Definitively, I think of one person. Russell Westbrook. Because of the liner we have, where we discussed Russell Westbrook. You know what? I believe in Rudy, and even though Kent is next, Kent doesn't need to, hear his own Patrick Mahomes impression again. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But anyway, we'll have Kent here in a little bit, Sterling at 9, and then it's me and Rudy for the rest of the show. We'll have the whole 8 o'clock hour to ourselves. I don't even know what we're gonna do with it. We've got so many places we could reach, which can include the Royals. Here's the thing, and this is just the bed they've made. They won today. They've got a fun prospect.
Did they make the bed, or have they just left that bed in a horrible disarray of mess?
They made this bed in 2017, and nobody's made it since then.
That's
you know
fair.
what I mean? The bed has been basically left, and no one's washed the sheets of this bed for several years now.
Every now and then, I'll go longer than I plan on without washing my sheets. Just not intentionally. You just kind of forget, right? And then you do wash them, and you're like, why don't I do this more often? This feels nice.
All right, okay. You've brought us here, and you know what? Gosh darn, I'm glad you did. How often do you wash your sheets?
I would say I try to maybe every other month, roughly.
Okay.
There can be some. There are times I'm sure I've done it sooner for whatever reasons. Times I've done it. It's been longer, right? Maybe again.
Wet the bed, you wash them sooner.
Exactly. You just forget sometimes.
Here's my theory on this.
Average-ish, I would say.
Here's my theory on this. I think you just said every other month.
In my adult life, because there was definitely a time in college. I don't know if I ever did in 4 years. I wish I'll stay.
Did your sheets just come off in the shape of the mattress at the end, just fully
Still couldn't fold it.
Rigid.
Nobody knows how to fold a fitted sheet, but
I think at that point it wasn't fitted as much as it was custom molded to your mattress. You basically had plaster of Paris under your sheets. You can't wash a sheet after 3 or 4 years in a college dorm. You just have to burn it. I think you said every other month, and everyone listening went, what? Not because that's the worst answer imaginable, but because I think this is something that there's not a universal answer to. Because if I lived in a world where I just had, I had a butler named Alfred, and Alfred just lived in my mansion, and I paid him a handsome wage, and Alfred just took care of things for me. I think I'd have Alfred changing the sheets once a week, maybe every few days, just because that fresh sheet feeling is great.
Good. Plus, there'd be all the blood from like the Joker, that would get on the sheets.
I would just let that go. I think it's a pretty good joke, but I think what you've insinuated now is even more. That we talked about what the DC reboot needs. How did the Joker's blood end up in Bruce Wayne's bed? Not just Batman's, Bruce Wayne's bed. I think this is the new tale that.
This is the nightmare timeline.
This is DC bringing some really interesting flavor to the table. I don't like remaking the bed. I don't know why. I've never have. It's like my least favorite easy chore.
It doesn't like I very. It's a like 60% effort making of said bed, right?
Yeah, it's just not.
It's never made total sense to me. Just in the sense that, like, man, I'm just gonna get right back in this thing at some point.
See,
before long. But
so I don't know.
I am at the point where at the very least,
but it feels better to have clean sheets. We've already agreed on that, right?
Pull the cover up so it's just flat.
Yeah.
Right? Again, it doesn't it's not perfect, but it's good enough.
So my
Nobody's
theory,
gonna judge me too much.
My theory is that you said every couple months, and that some percentage of the audience went, "Oh, I wash mine like twice a year." And a certain percentage of the audience went, "Oh my God, you're sleeping in your own filth for 2 months? I wash my sheets every Tuesday," or whatever. I'm not sure what the correct answer is. I'd like to put out a poll question, and I will begin working on this now. But I want to figure out how I can set this up in a way that won't taint the voter pool. Because if I say, 1 month, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, all of a sudden, the every 2 months voting block is not properly represented. I don't want to gerrymander these poll results.
Thank you.
But I don't know.
It is 2022, so you totally could, and it would just widely be accepted. But thank you.
I swore an oath to almost entirely sports. I just don't know. I don't know what the signposts here should be. Maybe I go weekly, every 2 to 3 weeks, monthly, every 2-3 months. That's going to leave an option for longer that's not going to be represented here.
I would say maybe under 2.
Okay.
2 to 4.
Less than 2 weeks.
Maybe like 2 to 4 weeks. 2 to 3 months, 6 plus, or 4 plus.
What if the last one after 2 to 3 months? What if that poll option is just "I'm nasty"?
Yeah, we'll know. We understand the time frame.
This is it's very judgy though.
No, I mean, here's the thing. I'm not saying there are different. You can judge people in different ways, right? You can judge people in malicious ways. We don't need any of that in this world. We have too much of that. You can also kind of judge people, but like not in a serious way. It's like, oh, you're nasty, but like I still respect you because you're a human being.
Okay, here are my options. Less than 2 weeks, monthly-ish, every 2 to 3 months, I'm nasty.
I like it.
Okay. I'm going to have to wait until we take a break, which we need to do like now to get to camp when we want to. So I'll put this out during the commercial break. And that does, unfortunately, conclude our Royals talk for this segment. I'm sure we'll do more of it at 8. We'll get into. There's also another story in baseball with Freddie Freeman that I think is really interesting. We'll probably do some baseball in the 8 o'clock hour. But the Royals won today And the point that I was going to make before we ended up in this much more interesting place is that the Royals won the day, and I feel virtually nothing because that's the bed that they've made. That's where that's holy bleep. That's where that started. They nasty. That was the gist of it.
Dane Moore definitely changes his sheets daily. Got to make sure you get all the scent off.
I have a theory about the appropriate amount of time that you should leave your sheets on, but I'm afraid to say it and disrupt the voters.
Cal Eldred tries. Great attitude when he does his laundry. Just mediocre results. Great attitude, though.
You got one more?
I think at some point somebody would have stepped in and be like, hey, I'll handle it. Just gonna keep letting them try. Brady Singer finally just learned that, you put the dish pod, or you put the Tide Pod into the washing machine, and it just does a whole world of difference.
What's Jackson Coar's laundry problem? Daniel Lynch just did laundry too hard. He got a blister.
The washing machine just wasn't spinning fast enough. It gave it a nice little, he got back in there, did some tinkering, right? Did some adjusting to the machine.
Yeah.
He was like, something's clearly not working here. I'm not getting enough spin on my washer.
And the issue with
now he's got enough spin, and so now the clothes aren't too straight.
The issue with Cal is that he doesn't care about his washer's spin rate at all, and we're like, hey man, it's not agitating at all. It's like, I don't care about anything called spin rate. It's like, why are you so angry? To be fair, I don't think that Cal Eldred is a notoriously angry man. That's the way that I have portrayed him just now. It's just that, the results of the laundry could be a little fresher. That's all we're saying. You know what couldn't get fresher? Kent Swanson. We'll talk to him next.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page. Kansas City's hometown sports station, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
CB playing with Jokic and what...
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Yeah, well, you know what you can see, Beards? There's a specific phrase for exactly where this one big old hole in the sweater is.
Uh-huh.
You can see Russell Westbrook's underboob.
Yep. I wasn't going to say it. I was going to let you drown.
With Joshua Brisco.
I'm here. Drowning in the underboob.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
That's why I associate the word underboob with Russell Westbrook. Told you we'd pay that off. You just had to stick around through the commercial. Even more of a payoff coming now, though, from our dear friend Kent Swanson of KC Sports Network, who joins us now. You can follow him, as always, on Twitter at Kent_Swanson, although I don't really see a reason to. I do see a reason to subscribe to the KC Sports Network Substack, kcsn.substack.com. In fact, like literally 5 or 10 minutes before the show, I got a notification that I had sent some money to KC Sports Network. So presumably, I guess we're in year 2 now, Kent. Is that true?
Thanks for the support, buddy. And I'm really glad that I'm not being associated with underboob. But no, really appreciate it. Yeah, this is about the time that the renewals are starting. So thanks.
That's how I found out, which is, you know how whenever you have a subscription that you meant to cancel a long time ago and then it bills again, you're like, oh God, I'm in for another period of
There
it.
are apps for that.
I need to download one of those. I'm kidding. You're welcome, Kent. I'm happy to support the great work you do over at the KC Sports Network and KCSportsNetwork.com.
We can just prorate the refund if you want. I mean, it's fine. I get it. No, I understand entirely, buddy. It's okay. But no, thank you for support. I can't believe year 1's in the books.
I know.
And like honestly, it's been a wild ride. Like this thing is been more than I could have ever dreamed getting to be part of this. And I'm not trying to get too sentimental because like that's not what I do when I'm on this show.
You can get a little sentimental.
I just don't want to. Like I have no desire to do that, but no, it's been good. It's been fun, and a byproduct of all this, I just all of a sudden I came back from the dead as a result of KC Sports Network. I owe a lot to this place.
Well, and I mean, since you're here, and you can speak to, Kansas City and then even beyond, I mean, I have to imagine that it's really been a touching, beautiful experience to be kind of supported in this way over the last 365 days and change. And I'm just curious how that's affected you and your family and your life and your emotions.
Quit trying to get me all emotional and sappy here, buddy. I mean, a lot's happened the last year. I had another kid. It's okay. Without drawing too many tears though, like, I mean, it's awesome. My motto is always do cool things with friends, and I'm getting to do cool things with friends at KC Sports Tech, and I'm getting to do cool things with my friend Josh Brisco on Wednesday nights, most Wednesday nights when I'm not blowing him off.
Yeah, I mean, occasional. Hey, sorry, I got so distracted by how bad I wanted you to hit the button, I just called Rudy Beards.
Yeah, wow.
Because hit F8. Just hit F8 and just save it. No, just trust me, it's fine. It'll be worth it. I was so excited. No. I was so excited to get that audio that I forgot your name for a second, Rudy.
No problem.
When you hear it back, you'll understand.
Oh, I mean, I heard.
One thing here, Kent, again, if I will stop badgering you for your emotional, sensitive topics after this, but I do want to know how frequently you wash your bed sheets.
So... we wash ours very frequently. I'm married, which is just an incredible value when it comes to that. Because when I was in college, I was a slob.
Yeah.
And I don't think I washed my bed sheets to an acceptable level as an early 20s bachelor. So like my wife is on it. She washes our bed sheets all the time. But, I mean, if it was just me at the house, if I'm being honest, I'm probably not washing them as frequently as I should.
But so here's the thing, that what you just did is the exact part of this conversation that genuinely interests me, is that I feel like everybody is afraid to put a name on it. Everybody's like, oh, I don't know, probably not enough, or I don't know, a normal amount. So, like, Rudy just said that during college, he's not sure he washed his bed sheets at all. I'm thinking that came off like a plaster casing off of his bed. It's just there for too long. That's just horrifying. But
you set those on fire afterwards is what you do.
Yes.
I absolutely spill water on them from time to time, so, like, that's a wash, right?
That's basically cleaning them.
Halfway.
So what would you say now then is, like, what would you say is an acceptable amount of time to wash your sheets? or to
like
leave them.
the maximum that you should be allowed to?
Yeah. What would be the longest that you could go without somebody without washing their bed sheets on just a regular stretch? Nobody, no kid barfed on the pillow or anything. But an acceptable amount of time that's right at the boundary. If it was more than that, it'd be kind of gross. But as long as you're washing them every blank.
10 days. I think that's about the line. And I almost said a week, but I feel like if you told me we hadn't washed our bed sheets in 10 days, I'd be like, it's fine. I think that's about the acceptable level. But you would probably lie in public and say 7.
This is exactly the payoff I was looking for.
I don't like this answer.
This is exactly the payoff I was looking for. Rudy, how often do you wash your bed sheets?
I would say probably every other month.
Oh, Rudy.
I don't think that's that bad.
Here's what I said when this started last segment.
I'm also I'm single. If you're married, maybe that changes things, right? Like anybody who's married who is going more than 10 days, maybe that's weird. I think if you're single and you're doing it every 2 months, if you're living by yourselves, I think that's a pretty good rate.
Okay. I've got another follow-up here. Okay, this is going to sound like a weird question. Rudy, can you go to bed without showering? Do you shower before you get into bed?
I mean, I can, but I prefer to shower at the end of the day. If I get home, there have been nights where I've gotten home at 1 a.m. I'm just falling into bed and going to sleep. But generally speaking, I like to shower before I go to bed.
Oh, see, I've got a thing. I got to shower before I go to bed.
Okay.
I have to shower when I wake up. I cannot do a day without a shower. Shower is my coffee.
I think you're doing it wrong. I think you get clean for your room, and then you just you accumulate the dirt during the day, and then make sure you end the evening clean. And you're just doing the exact opposite.
No. I like doing both. Most days I do both showers. I love a shower. It is my favorite activity to do. When I shower with the hot water, it is about the happiest that I ever am because I crave heat so much. And it's the only time where I'm not freezing. I just feel content in life.
Well, at least you can save on the water bill showering twice a day because you don't wash your clothes. So I see how that all works out. Okay, I got you.
I'm a beginning of the day showerer, so I do think that is a philosophical difference of do you view the bed as a clean place or as a dirty place. So I guess that impacts it.
But that's a key question when it comes to determining the frequency at which you wash your, I would imagine.
Yes, I think so. I think that is the philosophical difference that plays into it. My theory in the first segment, though, was that everyone has wildly different ranges of acceptability for their sheet washing, and that if you ask someone without them knowing what the options are, that the responses will vary. So I put out a poll just during the breaks. We're 120 votes in right now. And my categories were every 0 to 2 weeks, monthly-ish, every 2 to 3 months, or I'm nasty. And right now, every 0 to 2 weeks has 42%, monthly-ish has 38%, every 2 to 3 months has 10%, I'm nasty has 10%. I think the data visualization of this would be absolutely, you would learn nothing from it other than it'd just be chaos.
There is probably some obscure college that has had this exact study funded. And, if you dig hard enough on the internet, you can probably find some real scientific analysis because, honestly, the sample size isn't as good as it could because you don't have as many followers as me on Twitter. So you probably aren't going to, you probably need to find a little bit bigger sample size to actually get, a good representation and way better parameters than 2 to 3 is I'm nasty. 2 to 3 months is I'm nasty. That is I don't think even gross college bachelor, fresh out of college, can't wash his bed sheets more than, every 2 months. Barely, but more than that.
I didn't hear anything Kent just said. I was just trying to see if I could just report this KC Sports Network charge on my credit card app as fraudulent, just so I could try to get my money back.
I think that's fair. Thank you.
Report a problem is the button that is here for me. Let's just see. Problem: Kent was mean to me about my Twitter followers on the radio again. And send.
I don't think we made spite a drop down on why you need to unsubscribe. I'm sorry. I'll add that for you.
Yeah, please. Yes. Yeah. What was wrong with this purchase? Hurt my feelings. Too spiteful. right, well, I'm glad that we solved the bed
Yes,
sheet.
I just have to wash my bed sheets more often. I think it's fine.
I like
It's not a
having
bad
clean
deal.
sheets. It's just weirdly one of my least favorite, like, easy chores to do. I don't like putting fitted sheets on. I don't know
just
why.
Don't think about it like that much, to be honest. It's the thing I just like forget to. Like I do laundry every week, just forget to do the sheets very often.
I mean, we're just in a place right now that I feel like we're all, I don't know if we're all better for or worse for, but we all know a little more, and, knowledge is power. So that's worth something.
I'll be honest with you, Josh. I think we just started. We could probably do another 30 minutes on it somehow. Because, I think this is a very deep debate. But, I mean, if people haven't turned the radio off by now, I don't know what they're doing.
I mean, I've been doing this show here for a while. If they're still coming back at this time slot, at this point, it's on them. It's like, bore me once, shame on you. Bore me 300 times, shame on me.
They have the same problem.
300? That's low.
I just assume that they only tune in every once in a while just to check in and see how things went. Just
Make sure
still
you're
boring.
still alive.
And still, yeah, literally, I guess, and still boring. You know what? We can make a pivot to a little bit of Chiefs talk. It's sort of a quiet time. You had a news story go up today, actually, about some under the radar players that entering training camp. I don't want to talk about any of those because, frankly, I don't think that.
Can't.
Yeah.
Don't listen to Josh. We want to talk about your article today.
Hey, did you just turn off my microphone?
Is there? There's a Kentucky guy in that article. Isn't
There may or may not be a Kentucky guy in this article, and I think everybody wants to know.
Hey, no!
Who are the people that we?
Nobody cares.
Josh.
Nobody cares about Lonnie Johnson.
Oh, Josh. Hey, Josh. You know what? That is a great segue. I would love to hear more about Lonnie Johnson.
That makes one of us.
I would too, actually, Rudy, because I did you remember that Lonnie Johnson was on the football team? I mean, I know Rudy would not have forgot, but I kind of forget from time to time. Oh, this is I wish I was in studio right now for this. I would have helped. Man, I'm kind of fascinated by some Lonnie Johnson. I think he's a guarantee to make the roster and all this stuff. He kind of became an afterthought through all this stuff and through all this offseason where the Chiefs drafted a bajillion corners. But man, I kind of feel like he's kind of been forgotten a little bit. Either just assumed to be on the roster, which I don't think a 2024 conditional 7th round pick guarantees him a roster spot. Or I don't know. I don't know why we've forgotten about him, but I think he's one of the more interesting guys you need to watch at training camp in St. Joseph here in a month because that guy, he played safety. He's got corner skills. He's got the corner size for Steve Spagnuolo. This guy was handmade to be a Steve Spagnuolo cornerback. Let's find out. Let's see what happens. And I think it's just I don't think it's a guarantee he makes the roster because the Texans moved him from cornerback to safety. So let's find out.
That's fine. No, really, we
my
can.
My only counter argument is the guarantee to make the rosters. He did go to Kentucky.
Oh, that's a good point. And I mean, the Chiefs do love themselves some Kentucky players.
They do now because we're a football school.
That's about right. I don't think your football team lost to St. Peter's.
They certainly did not. And my sources are telling me that they are on the hot cold meter. It is hot for 2041 future 5-star quarterback recruit Patrick Mahomes, the 4th or 3rd, whatever he would be.
Good math, Rudy.
I got it.
That's
what my sources say.
Why don't you just live in the Will Levis era instead of worrying so much about the future right now, buddy?
But that's the beauty of Kentucky football. It's bright for the rest of eternity. Kentucky football is like Earth with no ozone. It's just hot. The sun is bright and it's hot.
Yeah, it's a rocket ship that you're strapping yourself to, and John Calipari sits on Earth just crying about the status that he has lost in the bluegrass state.
Can I go now?
You can.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, hi, Josh.
Hey, Kent.
What's up?
You guys really did some great radio together, and I really enjoyed listening to it after I was let out of the closet that I was unceremoniously shoved into.
he sounded a little muzzled. I was wondering what that was. I mean, I can't complain, but I was kind of wondering what was going on there.
Yeah, I don't think if I could really make a bold prediction here, I don't think we're going to get one single complaint about me being muzzled on this show.
My only hope was that Rudy was going to send me off before I had to say hi to you anymore, but that's okay.
Well, I need a
Let me reopen the Capital One app.
Just need a little bit more time from you, Ken. I don't think I can keep Josh under the wraps for 20 more minutes. That might be a miracle.
Eventually, I would walk out of the studio into the control room and grab Rudy's microphone, just be like, "Kent, I want to know about Josh Kando," and that would have been.
You're more interested in Josh Kando than Lonnie Johnson. Lonnie Johnson could probably play defensive end better than Josh Kando.
Oh, come on.
I'm just kidding.
Maybe.
I just respect the school that Josh Kando went to, and that, I understand that's controversial, but.
Hey, Florida State's a fine institution. You know what Florida State produced? Kentucky head football coach Mark Stoops, who was the defensive coordinator there when they won the national title, then he left for Kentucky football school. And Florida State's never been the same since.
If we can be honest, Kentucky would beat the brakes off of Florida State right this second if they played.
They would right now, yeah. Florida State's bad.
Josh Kando might have gotten better coaching in Kentucky.
He would have.
Probably would have.
He 100% would have.
Here's my. We can go as broad or narrow as you'd like here on the edges in general, but I'm having a hard time getting a full feel on how much we actually believe in any of these defensive ends. I'm going to say not including George Karlaftis and Frank Clark, even though they obviously both have their very different but very substantial questions. But behind the two of them even, I keep looking at the depth chart and expecting to see just someone who's played NFL games before. And it's Mike Dana and Josh Kando and Malik Herring. I don't know, man. To me, that I am left quite nervous about all of that.
Josh Kando did not record a stat in his rookie year. He played in a few games. So if you call games appeared in a stat, he didn't record one single defensive stat. Mike Dana's a good player. I don't think there's any way you can feel good about the defensive line as a whole, specifically the defensive end. I don't feel good about it. And it's not that I actually really came around on George Karlaftis mid-draft process, but it's scary to bank on another year older Frank Clark, rookie George Karlaftis, and Mike Dana. There's too much unknown for me to feel comfortable about that group. Maybe Josh Kando, cool, solid rotational piece. I don't know if I'm going to write about it. I'm thinking about writing about it, but I think this team should trade for Robert Quinn yesterday. And maybe once the Orlando Brown stuff clears, maybe some more money kind of, makes itself available. But the Chiefs have 10 draft picks next year. They've got an extra third. They got an extra fourth. They got plenty of draft capital. I would 100% go trade for Robert Quinn, especially considering he's only going to be a $12 million cap hit.
Yeah.
That. Tell me, how good would you feel if you could just treat George Karlaftis as, I don't want to call it gravy, but close to gravy. You know, if you could just say, George Karlaftis is going to play a lot of snaps. We don't know what kind of production we're going to get out of him, but we know we're going to get a solid rotational piece. But Robert Quinn's there to really affect the quarterback and really, get some production off the edge. Tell me you wouldn't feel just incredible about that group if that happens.
I would feel significantly better, 100%. The only spot where I think I might disagree with you is that I might suddenly treat Frank Clark like the gravy and say, hey, whatever they get out of Frank Clark one way or the other, I can be happy about. But this might be insane because one of these guys has been in the NFL for a number of years now, and one of them was playing water polo 45 minutes ago. But I think I certainly have more confidence in George Karlaftis being on the field than Frank Clark. And some of his injury stuff it's not his injuries aren't almost never our players' faults. I want to make that clear. And even his stuff isn't always the same thing, although the hamstrings have been, they were a problem last year. But regardless, if those three guys are your 1, 2, 3 in some form or fashion, I would feel significantly better. Absolutely.
Yeah, with Frank Clark, I think you know what he is at this point in his career, and he's not going to get a ton of production from the disruption. But I think he does really, really good stuff in the run game still. I think he's sound. He's good at the point of attack. He'll do what you want there. And that ceiling, I think, is actually a little bit higher guaranteed relative to Karlaftis. But, you're going to get outstanding effort out of Karlaftis, and I love the idea of him getting to just play a ton of snaps still, though, and the production still coming because they've raised the ceiling significantly with Bob Quinn. It's been in the back of my head since I found out that Robert Quinn was unhappy in Chicago, and that's the if there's one more move the Chiefs can make, that's it. Hands down, that's it.
I think the last thing for you is to start calling him Bobby Q. Because you called him Bob Quinn just there, and that feels like a very Kent thing. But if you start calling him Bobby Q, I feel like it's going to happen.
But Bobby Q gets some barbecue. It's
wow,
it's perfect.
Wow, the endorsement deals write themselves.
Yep, it's so easy.
Incredible.
Q39's calling already.
I wish every barbecue place in Kansas City would call me. Everybody's good. I love you all. Just. Bring some Bobby Q to the table. Boy, that's it right there.
That was the most I can be bought statement you've ever made without saying you can be bought, by the way, just now, Josh.
Oh, cool. Hold on one second, Kent. I can be bought, just in case there's any doubt. But I don't want that to, we now on a frequent basis talk about the wonderful folks at Ruback Fine Jewelry, and I'm going to continue to plug that. I even mentioned, I don't know if I've said this on air before, but you were the guiding hand that pointed me in the right direction long before Ruback was a part of this show, and I've now gotten to tell that success story a number of times over. So I'm just a happy customer from Ruback, which would also be the case for literally every barbecue spot, I think.
Selfishly, I just wanted, more things to say about the wonderful people at Ruback Fine Jewelry when I was doing my reads for them. So you actually using them played perfectly into exactly what I needed, because I do love talking about the fine people at Ruback Fine Jewelry. Al is absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
As you have learned as well, Joshua.
Yes, tremendous. I think all I got to do is say the URL, and then we can just use this as one of the times we've officially talked about Ruback on the show.
Yeah, ruback.co. You got to slash off the M at the end of the link, and it makes it so. It's just that you're just saving that much more time, just like you're going to save so much more money.
They've been serving the Kansas City community for more than 100 years. Do you know that a custom ring means a custom budget? That line has stuck with me this entire time because I literally never thought about it that way until I was out here trying to get a custom ring. It's like, oh, yeah, that's true.
And the thing about Hal is he's not going to push you beyond that budget. Did you know that? He's just not going to put a ton of pressure on you. He's going to help you find something that fits exactly what you're looking to do, and he's not trying to nickel and dime you on the way out. He's trying to just stay within the confines of what you feel comfortable with, because he wants you to have a comfortable ring buying experience too.
To be honest, I never even considered that, because throughout that whole process, it was all so true that I never for a second was like, is he going to try to push in one direction or the other? Like whenever we talked budget and we decided on a diamond size and shape, he brought out two of them. We looked at them under a jeweler's microscope or whatever that jeweler's eyeglass thingy. I think there's a specific word for it, right? I'd never done that before. It was very cool. I got to look into the inside of the diamond, and I was like, I like this one a little more than that one. And he was like, great, I like this one too. Let's do it. And then we did it. It was great. Ruback Fine Jewelry, ruback.co. Make your appointment today. Boom. That wasn't even planned. Kent and I just both have loving feelings towards Ruback Fine Jewelry.
Yeah, we've been singing their praises for so long. We just, we could rat-a-tat-tat, no problem. It's great. Shout out Hal.
This conversation literally would have happened off air. That's 100% serious. I'm not kidding. We've had this conversation before. Anyway.
Yes, we have.
I had a question about the pass rush that I'd forgotten about, so I'm going to move on to something else you read about recently that is maybe a little more exciting. We talked about all the pass catchers, in various forms or fashions, and you talked about Sky Moore's ability to run the slant whenever the Chiefs drafted him. That was where you began, and now you've looked at that and the best routes for these new additions that I'd like to get a little bit from. You can also again read it all at kcsn.substack.com. I want to start with Sky Moore though, I think, because I am finding myself to be in a place where I'm saying I'm not going to draft him in fantasy this year, but that's solely an issue of he's a rookie entering Andy Reid's system. But I think that you might be able to make the case for what his production could look like this year, perhaps surrounding this particular route. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have a hard time putting a number on it, but I do think that there are even if he can't earn complete trust of the entirety of the playbook, and they kind of have to pick their spots with him a little bit, and like he doesn't maybe play all three positions and all that stuff. Like I think there's a very defined skill set trait role like that already exists for him. Obviously, it might become a little bit more predictable, like if he's just running these slants on the RPOs and all that stuff. But I mean, the Chiefs got the best slant runner with some of the best hands in the class, that's tough and willing to catch the ball over the middle of the field, that can run through defenses and run through contact. Like, if you look at those specific traits, that's an area of the field with the RPO slant that all those things shine. And, like, Andy Reid's so good about taking the absolute strengths of her players to maximize his offense. Like, that's the exact spot where Sky Moore fits. And you've seen, like, the best, most explosive versions of the Chiefs' offenses have had the slants on the RPOs turning into, to long touchdowns potentially. Like, I think Patrick Mahomes' first touchdown of his first year as a starter, I believe, was the RPO slant to Tyreek Hill. Now, Sky Moore's not going to run through all those defenses the same way Tyreek Hill is, but I bet you can turn those into more explosive plays. Yeah. And, like, this team, I feel like, some of the longer touchdowns, some of the more explosive plays, like, teams really did a good job taking those away. This is an area of the field Sky Moore can specifically win, and I think he can do a fantastic job and build from there.
I don't know what you're going to say to this, which, I often don't know, but this one I don't know what I would say to this. I think I do. I think I have my answer, but I don't know what yours is going to be. If there was one wide receiver on this team right now where you could guarantee 17 healthy regular season games and healthy through the playoffs, one receiver, obviously not Travis Kelce, I don't mean Travis Kelce, but one wide receiver on this offense that you think is the most important to the Chiefs in 2022, who would that be?
Ooh, I hate you.
Ooh, why do you hate me this time?
It's just a really, really good, difficult question.
It's a tough one, isn't it? I was trying to answer it for myself as I was about to tee it up for you, even stalling to give you more time like I am now, so you can really believe in the answer you're going to give. I don't know.
I think I've got it, but like I think you can make a case. You can make a case for Marquez Valdez-Scantling, but I think it's Juju.
I agree.
I think it's Juju. I think there's like the chain moving aspect of what he provides, and the big physical body, the big physical target, and the areas that he wins in the kind of short to intermediate, toughness after the catch, like those kind of things. Like I think he's probably the most valuable piece, and like there's more variance to a Marquez Valdez-Scantling. There's more explosion to that. But, I mean, the Chiefs needed guys to help them move the chains because teams were so hell-bent on keeping them from moving the chains last year, or keeping them from, getting the explosive plays and forcing them to play kind of long, sustained drives. They need consistency. And, like, Juju's that guy. If you get him for 17 games, like, that's been one of the big questions about him anyway. He's probably the most talented receiver and the most productive receiver of all that group so far. So, yeah, it's Juju. I think it's Juju.
What would the MVS case look like? 'Cause I agree with you. I'm thinking if I was going to build the MVS case, it would probably be around just that Travis Kelce still exists, not that he alone can move the chains, because you just mentioned last year, obviously. But what would your MVS case look like?
Sounds like he's winning in more areas and getting to do stuff in more areas of the field than he's got to in the past. He's still a big-bodied guy. He's still a really explosive guy that has, he's got more explosive potential. He's got a higher ceiling, I think, than Juju when it comes to like a per play kind of or per target kind of, situation. So, I mean, if you're looking to try to replace the, threat, the explosive element, like MVS is the guy. Like he's probably the one best equipped to, to scare defenses. Like I think McCole scares defenses in some capacity. Sky scares defenses in some capacity, but like MVS is the guy. Like he's the one, like I think, that can really make this offense kind of scary if he lives up to his contract and lives up to, some of the stuff that you're hearing about him during the offseason.
Solely for this year, who would be third? Since we're here,
who'd be third?
Yeah. In wide receiver importance. I mean, I think it's got to be Sky Moore or McCole Hardman, right? I think literally has to be one of those two.
Easily. It's probably Sky, because Sky raises the ceiling and the floor of this group if he's productive. And so, like, I think he's he's got a more well-rounded skill set than what McColl is. Like, I think this team can win without what McColl does. But what McColl does in the right timing provides some significant value. So, I don't know. Give me Sky, but I'm probably a hater, right?
Well, my only other receiver question was going to be, why do you hate McCole Hardman so much? What did he do to your family?
Yeah. and that's what I'm saying. It's a toss-up.
Yeah, sure.
It's a toss-up, but, like, I think you can get – it's tough.
Here's something I think is
you
funny.
You can make a good.
Go ahead.
Do what?
Something I think is funny about the Hardman, hashtag discourse is that last year it was all like, here we go. Like, could he be the guy that raises the ceiling of the offense? Or what could he do? And this year he's the quote unquote boring member of the receiving corps because he's the only one that we've seen in a Chiefs uniform. Like, it's just that is a massively different offseason sort of hype train for a guy. Partially because I guess they were underwhelming throughout most of last year. More later in the year though. If he was still the unknown, we would obviously be talking about him more. And he just happens to be the veteran of the offense now, which is just sort of interesting to me.
I'm fascinated to see what he looks like without Tyreek too.
Me too.
And so, like, I don't know if it's in a good way necessarily. So we'll see. Like, we'll see. I don't know. Like, I mean, I think he's still confined to what he does, but are people going to be more keen on what he does with Tyreek out? I don't know. I'm a little dubious. It's going to be interesting to watch, especially with all the guys that could potentially get the ball this year. It's going to be. I'm so fat. I'm beyond interested in this offense. I cannot wait to see.
Yeah.
Just even just seeing him in training camp is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you. It is fun that does come with so much uncertainty amongst all of the pass catchers and fantasy stat compilers that, it's uncertain, but it's also fun for that exact reason. So last thing then is we've talked about the pass rush, we've talked about the pass catchers, and that's sort of been where a lot of this offseason circled around. But what would be your bronze medalist for thing that you find either most interesting or concerning or a battle you're looking forward to, but some place where you go, we're not talking about this as much as we're talking about the pass rush and the pass catchers, and this should be next up?
It's the entire secondary.
Yeah.
I would say specifically the cornerback position because, I mean, the Chiefs have thrown a lot of young guys at it, a lot of unknown guys at it, and, like, lottery ticket types and like Lonnie Johnson. They've thrown a lot of guys at it. I'm so interested to see, like, who kind of comes out of those battles, who of the young guys is ready to contribute early, who gets to stick around long enough to develop. Like, all of that to me is extremely fascinating. And, like, you could put it right. The entirety of the defense is just going to be just so fun. This is the most excited I've been for a Chiefs season to start in a while. Like, it's always just been an inevitability. And, like, I still think the Chiefs are going to win a bajillion games. Probably when the AFC West laughed in the face of the AFC West for all they did to try to supplant the Chiefs, and it's not going to matter. But how the Chiefs get there is going to be a lot more interesting.
And then finally, what's your current emotional state on God's favorite baseball team? They won today, Kent. Why do you sound so sad?
I want them to. I almost want them to lose. I'm broken. Like, I'm just emotionally spent, and I'm apathetic, and that's probably the last thing that you want to be, and that's the last thing the Royals want you to be. But, like, that's how I feel. I'm spent. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. Some of the quotes that we've heard from Dayton Moore, the disregard for, the most important asset in baseball and trying to develop the pitching staff, it hurts. And I still watch them. And I still watch them, Josh. I hate that I love them so much. I'm a wreck. Always game.
We started the show today. We were about 5 minutes into the hour, and I said that the Royals at this point, despite winning today, they've made their own bed. The point that I was getting to was that they've made their own bed in terms of this team just still isn't very good. The future, the direction of the franchise doesn't feel very productive, and overall apathy is the thing that has sunk in. But I didn't say that.
Oh, that's where we were going.
No, I didn't get to say all of that because Rudy said, when did they make their bed last? And I think like 2017 probably. And then after that, it's been kind of stinky. And then I said, how often do you wash your bed sheets, Rudy? And then that was the first segment instead of talking about the Royals, which ultimately ended up being performance art to dictate our apathy. That's
Cal
where we're
Eldred.
at.
Cal Eldred does not wash his bed sheets ever, but he makes his bed every day and starts every morning with a positive attitude.
My theory is that his washing machine doesn't agitate because he doesn't like anything that uses spin rates. But that's mean and rude and unfair, so I didn't say that. But that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's perfect.
It's impossible. Also, right now you are the only human being who can be. You and Rudy are the only human beings who can be an audience for that joke, because to try to make that joke out of context would require 30 minutes of radio listening and an extensive knowledge of the Royals pitching situation. So I appreciate you being here to laugh at my jokes.
Oh, that's part of baseball's problem, right there.
My jokes? Spin rate.
No, explaining spin rate. No.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. Kent, even though you were really mean at least 2 or 3 times and shamed Rudy for his dirty bed sheets, I do not regret a nickel that I have spent on the KCSN Substack. You also can go listen to the KC Lab podcast, which I imagine you're going to have a new one come out of the oven really soon. We need to let you go, huh?
Yep, you absolutely do.
I
do love you despite all of my barbs while we're being sentimental.
Love you too, Kent. I'm glad that you were able to get in touch with your emotions today. Go wash your sheets.
Always game.
Always game. Bye, Kent.
Bye.
Kent Swanson has a podcast to do. You can follow him on Twitter at Kent_Swanson. You can check out his work, of course, again, kcsn.substack.com. For the written stuff, the KC Laboratory podcast is tremendous. You can check out the whole KCSN network at kcsportsnetwork.com, and that'll send you all the different directions for anything you might want from the great crew over there. Current poll update. Every 0 to 2 weeks and monthly-ish are both around 41, 42% of the vote. And then every 2 to 3 months or I'm nasty combines for about 15% of the vote.
I need to wash my sheets more.
And see, this is we're providing an educational opportunity for a bunch of people who are now, statistically speaking, nasty. You're welcome, America.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Feeling the pinch of higher prices?
Golden Oak Lending can save you money with their low fixed rates.
James Hawkins here, president of Golden Oak. You can offset today's high prices by using the low interest equity in your home to pay off credit cards, make home improvements, or simply put cold hard cash back in your pocket.
Start saving money and skip 2 mortgage payments. Call 913-890-GOLD today.
Golden Oak Lending, cured my blues.
NMLS 114937.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Oak Ridge Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Oak Ridge Medical Clinic uses the most
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
How good is it for us that part of our aesthetic of this show is just bad? It's just doing things poorly. Welcome to Almost Entirely Sports, where we purposefully cut off the music for comedic effect and leave long pauses and also say things that just don't make sense.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We mentioned last night that there was mid-show news that Travis Barker, the longtime Blink-182 drummer, and he's done even more sort of interesting collaborative stuff in this act of his career.
And this was well before this act of his career, but he was in Angels and Airwaves, wasn't he? Wasn't he one of the two
I think that's
Blink-182
right.
guys?
I forgot about that. Yeah, I think you're right.
Because I think it was two of the Blink-182 guys did Angels and Airwaves for a couple years. I don't know how. I don't think it was that long, but
it was Tom DeLonge, and no, we were wrong. So never mind. He's done a lot of stuff with
good band to remember back in the day. Angels and Airwaves,
100%, dude. I loved Angels and Airwaves. I gotta see what other projects that Travis Barker's done, but he's done a lot of stuff with Willow Smith, and he's done a bunch with now with Black Bear and everything. But some more modern that makes Travis Barker sound 1,000 years old. But he's sort of helped usher in kind of a new era of, I don't know, pop punk influences and everything. It's been very cool. Anyway, he was rushed to the hospital yesterday, and we briefly mentioned it on air. And I just saw on Twitter that they have the cause of all of this now, and that he is reportedly dealing with pancreatitis. And I got to tell you, folks, the first time that a pancreas just works well for your entire life, if you get that, if you just live your life with a good pancreas, consider yourself among the lucky ones. Because if I just see a pancreas out in the street, there's gonna be beef between me and every pancreas.
Boxcar Racer was the band I was thinking of, because that was Tom DeLonge and Travis Barker were in that one together. That's who I was thinking of.
I was a big Angels and Airwaves guy. So
I was definitely. I don't really
like
remember Boxcar Racer as a band that I listened to. I just knew of them. I knew those two were in something else together. Angels Airwaves, though, there was
are they back?
There was a song or two together that just clicked, just really hit back in 2008 maybe.
Okay, well, let's take a trip down memory lane here. I'm trying to figure out which of these. Yeah, so hold on. I'm now thinking that they might have. Hold on. On May 11th, 2021, they released a single and a music video, and then an album in September 2021. So Angels and Airwaves is back. You couldn't hear this,
when
but
you thought they were dead, they're back.
Rudy on the other side of the glass with his microphone off when I said that went, "They're back, baby!" I could see it.
I did.
I could see it from here.
That's 100% what I did.
That's how you know we're. That's how we know we're into it. At the bottom of the Wikipedia page, it says Angels and Airwaves' music style has generally been regarded as alternative rock, space rock, art rock, and neo-prog.
Space rock actually feels right, because I'm trying to remember the big song was very, I would say, spacey. I'll find it.
Yeah, it's just that here's my issue. The phrase space rock already means something different.
Does it, though?
We already, if you say, hey, how do you feel about space rock? I guess if it was singular like that, I would be a little confused. But I'm I'd love to have a space rock. That'd
The
be cool.
Adventure was the song I'm thinking of.
What was it?
The Adventure.
That
2006.
That feels like the right era for sure. Did they do a song called No, I don't think that's. I was just thinking of a 30 Seconds to Mars song, which a mistake that I'm sure many have made before.
The music video for the song is very spacey.
Empire is the album art that looks like the original Star Wars poster a little bit. I think that was one of the albums. Here's the story. Here it is. And it's also why this album is apparently the one that I'm going to remember the most in the Angels and Airwaves catalog. Do you know it's possible to unknowingly And Rudy is now fully jamming on the other side of the glass.
I mean, the music
At least turn the
video-
camera on for Twitch just to watch you just jam.
The music video for the adventure, like, literally takes place in like what looks like the Death Star. Like space rock, might be like the best description of kind of the vibe that they give off.
I wish I could think of what this song sounds like right now. Which computer do you have it open on over there? I also want to get
laptop.
DMCA'd or otherwise.
It's on my laptop.
In trouble. All right, fair enough. Empire, I got and put into my iTunes in a way where I was I think statute of limitations is up here. It's been 10 years, at least. I would say that at age 13, 14, 15, I very, very, very frequently would rent out CDs from the local library. And then I would take them home, and I would open the CD-ROM drive. I would put it in there in the computer, and then I would wait for iTunes to recognize it, and then I would import those songs into my iTunes library.
Nothing wrong with that.
And then I would take the CD back.
Did nothing wrong.
At literally no point ever did I... Because what's the difference between that and a book? If I get a book and I read it and send it back, no, you're right. I can't digitally read that book whenever I want. What if I took?
You could transcribe it onto a
Yes.
Word document.
Yes.
And then essentially just or if you had a scanner.
What if I took a
scan all the
picture of
pages?
every single page of a book and then return it to the library? Have I committed a crime? Have I
No.
stolen a book?
No.
Have I? You wouldn't download a car.
Steal a book?
I mean,
No, you legally can't steal books. Public domain.
Every book is public domain.
Absolutely.
If you walk into a Borders, which totally I'm sure still exists.
Oh yeah. There's actually one not far from here.
Really?
Yeah, in Town Center.
If you walk into a Borders and
wait,
you
no,
just
that's Barnes and Noble, not Borders.
I think Borders went out of business.
Borders did go out of
Barnes and
business.
Noble is a better one than you.
It's just a better Borders.
I think that's right. I think you're right.
I think we just better Borders. Just put Barnes and Noble in charge. Solves all our problems, right?
Boy, I wish it wasn't only. Oh, it's 8:10. Hey, that's fun. It's at 8:10 on June 29th. It's precisely 8:10 that Rudy ended the show. I gotta go.
You saying the date just reminded me of something. So you do know it's June 29th, correct?
Yes.
You saved files in our folder. Files today.
Yeah, what did I do?
July 4th. You labeled file 7-4-22. I was like, huh. I believed it for a second. For a minute, I was like, yeah, that's the date. And I was like, wait a second. That doesn't feel right.
Why did I do that? What happened?
Because it's just far enough away, but not too far away that I genuinely don't know.
I'm just excited for
it's holiday weekend.
A holiday weekend? I don't. What I could guarantee, so there would have been, I think, 4 files in there with that.
3 that I saw.
I think there'd be 4. You ought to go check.
3.
I think there are 4. There definitely would be 4. What would have happened is that I did it once, and then I just clicked the file name and then just changed everything except for the date. I do that all the time.
Yeah, I only see 3 because I'm assuming that 4th file you saved in somewhere else.
None of them are raw recordings.
Nope. I mean, there is the raw recordings with no
Yes.
nothing that I added.
Yes.
There's 3 of them, 1, 2, and 3, but there's not a full one, which is why I assume it's the 4th one.
Where did I save that one? I did some bad file management today, huh?
I've left them labeled as 7-4 because, why wouldn't I?
Because it'll be confusing in a week.
I mean, I did label the edited files as 6-2.
Right, you fixed them for yourself. Sure, yeah, no, that's good. I don't know why I did that. My only argument is that I did it once and then just re-clicked and rewrote it or whatever.
I don't think that you deliberately typed out 7-4-22 4 separate times. I believe that is the case.
I mean, I didn't deliberately do it once, even,
Well,
but I didn't
but you
accidentally.
get what I mean.
I didn't accident. Yeah, I didn't think it was the 4th of July, but I have no idea why I would have, because it's not that I wrote 7/29/22 or 6/29/21, which I will do again soon, I'm sure. I was like, today feels like the 4th of July. Let's put that in there.
The Royals won. Fireworks were being shot.
Yeah, that's Rudy, I gotta be honest.
When the Royals win, you get delirious.
I don't have an answer for you. Yeah, I can't. Well, like my blood sugar was late. It wasn't. It was fine.
Man, you should just use that. I mean, you have a safety. You have an out every time. Yeah, my blood sugar was just a little low.
I gotta save it for when I really need it, though.
I think that's something you can use as many times as you want. Who's really going to question you on it?
That's a good point. Not
like
having
like chicken pox. You only got that once. You only got that excuse one time. And then this is the smart play. I had a buddy in college who, like, when he got his first job in college, part of his interview process was letting him know, like, hey, I genuinely suffer from walking pneumonia, so it comes and goes. So he could just, like, every 3 weeks, once a month, just call out sick for a day or two, get paid.
Kidding? What a genius!
I was just like, man, that is you got to lay that groundwork in early.
Wow.
In the interview.
Have you told that story to Lebo? Because every once in a while, Lebo will jump out from behind me and just stab me in the arm, and then just try to get some of that blood onto a test strip just to see what my blood sugar is, to test and see if I really do have diabetes or not. Maybe he thought I was really laying it. Maybe I was deep in character acting.
That's Lebo, man. You're not getting nothing past him.
No, he's a stickler for sure.
He knows everything.
I wonder if he knows why I wrote 7/4/22.
Well, there are some mysteries that the world will never solve.
That really is going to be one of them. The
only people we can count on to solve mysteries like that is great space rock groups like Angels and Airwaves. They're up in the mysteries of the universe, playing music to the gods.
All right, you've asked me a question in this segment, which is why did I label that way? That's a fair question. I didn't have an answer for you. I have a question to return to you.
No.
Let me ask the question first.
Possibly.
Will Whit Merrifield ever be good again?
No. I mean, like, what's the definition of good again? Do we mean, like, for, like, a full season? Like, because, no. Will he have, like, hot stretches here and there, like Carlos Santana? Yeah, probably. For, like, a full season, prolonged? No.
Do you know what fills me with
he's done.
You know what fills me with a infuriating rage?
I mean, a lot of things.
Yeah, true. In this very specific context related to Whit Merrifield.
Bill O'Brien.
That was number one for me, for sure. Here's
Eldred.
Here's what really irks me. This was so obvious that this was the script. This went pretty much according to plan. Whit Merrifield was late bloomer, if you want to call him that. You know what he really was? He was a late opportunity getter, to be honest.
I was going to say, he was either a late bloomer or the Royals, and I think it's probably a little bit of both, really bleeped up their evaluation of him.
I would say it's some of both.
A little bit of both.
And from that moment on, Whit Merrifield played great baseball at a billion positions for a nonsense team that was playing for nothing. Right?
Well, no, Josh. They went into this year competing to win. They went into last year competing to win.
And they've ended every
year before that
nowhere near competing to win.
Dave Moore believes this team is ready to win now. Now. Right here and now.
Nonsense team might be right on that edge of maybe just a breath too far. I admit that on the front end. Here is the no jokes added version, okay?
One good week and they're back in the race.
Here's my no jokes added version. I can't speak for what Rudy will say. Oops, no jokes is the cereal that I'm opening up right now. Here's what is infuriating me about the Whit Merrifield whole deal. Because now there's murmuring of either bench him and end his streak and see if he can figure some of this stuff out,
Which that's a whole nother issue. They have just been throwing him out there the man should have gotten a break 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But they've just gotta have this streak going.
And maybe he wants. I would imagine that he wants to continue the streak.
Absolutely.
I don't begrudge him that one bit. I didn't
But the
begrudge
manager's
Salvador.
job is to step in, and Dayton Moore also step in and be like, "Hey guys, this is what we need to do."
I don't begrudge Salvador Perez one bit for if he could be out there right now, if he could cut off his thumb and go DH with 9 total fingers, I bet he would at least consider it. If that would speed up his return, I don't begrudge that man one bit for that. And in some ways, you have to admire it, right? Those who just want to be out there, that's awesome. With Whit Merrifield, though, here's the no jokes version again. He has not played a meaningful baseball game for this team. And he's not going to. And we knew he wasn't going to, minimum 3 years ago?
Yeah, there were some, I guess you could say some false meaningful games.
Yes.
Games that you thought were meaningful like in 2016 and 17, but the reality is they just weren't.
And you just said 2016 and 17.
But
I'm saying minimum 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Minimum.
100%. Yes. I mean, since 2017, and again, you could make an argument of how really meaningful were those meaningful games, because I think the Royals, like they've done since 2016, have misevaluated their team. But starting in 2018, there is no beating around the bush. There's been nothing.
And this,
other than opening day, I guess, because technically everybody's in it.
This is the cost of self-delusion. We're just so close. We can't trade Whit Merrifield. We're so close to getting to that spot where he's going to help get us there and help get us over the hump. And none of this reflects on Whit Merrifield. None of this is about him. None of this is about anything he's done other than play good baseball. But you just have this. You have these stretches from 2018 through now at minimum. You at least had your 500 baseball teams that had some breadth of time in contention, all of that. Fine. I'm not even going back that far anymore. But the best finish this team has seen in their own pedestrian division is second to last. And now you're at a point where Whit Merrifield is 33 years old, playing the worst baseball that he has played in this stretch as a professional. And now you go, you know what, I'm not sure if he's going to be a part of our next 3 years, and it's probably going to be 3 more years before we really see meaningful baseball. And maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe it'll be 2 years. Maybe next year they'll see a step forward. But do you know what's not going to play meaningful games for the Royals? We're not going to play playoff games for the Royals. A 35, 36, or 37-year-old Whit Merrifield. Obviously. But it was obvious to most of us, at least by 2018, that a 33-year-old Whit Merrifield was never going to play playoff games for this team. And this is where it costs you. So now you're going to just simply sell low? You're going to hope that he gets a hot streak and that some team needs a versatile outfielder, or a versatile defender overall, I should say, that can play anywhere and has hit well recently, just not terribly recently. It's just, Whit Merrifield's value has never been lower than it is right now. Not since he became a unbenchable utility machine, and also in large part like a very good second baseman. Again, none of this is. I hope none of this is degrading to what Whit Merrifield has done. He's just spent it toiling on a team that was never as close as they proclaimed to be, and so now we're in this spot of, all right, we're finally willing to consider trading Whit Merrifield. Yeah, no bleep, man. He's not playing well right now, and it's too late. Whenever there have been conversations about the Royals making a trade that hurts, it's always about trading a top prospect for a pro-ready center fielder or something. The trades that seem like they would hurt the Royals the most are just letting go of players at a time when, yes, they are not husks of themselves at this point, that this is the time to sell. Do Whit Merrifield a favor. I'm just picking a random team that I know could use just simply better players. Should have let him leave with the Angels when they were in town. Just let him get on the plane. I have no idea what their farm system looks like. I really don't. I don't think you're getting Trout or Ohtani back, so beyond that, who's to say? let him go play for, the Angels are a bad example for this, but like a team that's either contending or is actually within striking distance of playing meaningful baseball. Do that as a favor to him, if not as a favor to your own team, which should still be your priority if you are a baseball team. But again, this is the price of a 500 team is actually a World Series contender. No, they weren't. A 100-loss team is actually very close to being a 500 team. No, they weren't. Well, now actually they're gonna. No, they're not. This team has been several moves away for a long time, and right now the only way that they are actually close is if all of these prospects that have just hit the big leagues continue to be like borderline stars. Like Bobby Witt has to be a star. MJ Melendez has to be exceptional. Then Pasquantino could just be a major league hitter. You could probably live with that. Eventually, Nick Prado's going to have to come up and be a plus player. And, not but, and it still comes down to your pitching. This pitching staff could get there. You could believe in the chances, specifically if they change their approach to be vague.
If they had an approach to be blunt.
But it absolutely infuriates me that here, on either June 29th or July 4th, 2022.
Who can say which?
Who could possibly know which?
It applies on both days, I imagine.
I think it will still apply 5 days from now.
Or 5 days before.
The fact that we are here now, like, boy, could the Royals really trade Whit Merrifield? Yeah, and they should have done it when the return could have been more meaningful. Not just even in the quality of player, but also in the timeline.
There's also a part of me that's still, like, skeptical about whether or not this team is actually going to, like, make some actual significant trades.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
no, if Whit Merrifield ends the season on this team, I won't be surprised. I'll just be even more upset.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Benintendi is either. And then he doesn't resign. And here's the deal. If you resign...
If Benintendi doesn't get traded and doesn't sign a long-term deal... No, don't turn my microphone down. I want this to clip.
I wasn't going to.
I will freak out.
And the fact that
It's so hard to get meaningful assets in baseball, and to just let them wilt in your hands is malpractice.
And I think the thing that really sucks is the fact that, like,
God, I hope they don't do that.
Plausible, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Which it shouldn't.
Yeah,
it shouldn't. Because, I mean, again, like, and I don't think the Royals need to do everything 100% like what Tampa Bay or Milwaukee does. Part of that is because I don't think you can do anything exactly like another organization does.
Sure.
Right, there's just so many pieces, but you can pick and choose, right? You need to kind of create your own thing, but you create your own thing kind of from picking pieces from here, from people, all that stuff, right? We see Tampa Bay do this all the time of getting rid of guys, not in walk years, but in 2 years before they're going to walk. Why? Because they know, hey, Blake Snell's not going to re-sign with us. And we have a chance now to get real assets. Not waiting until the trade deadline, in which we could get good assets, but we have a chance to get real, actual assets. Players that can be with us for 6-7 years. And they may only be there for 4 years because we may then do the same. But you know what? We're going to just have this steady streamline of players because we're going to be smart. We're going to be proactive. We're going to actually be able to recognize. I know people don't like being an Oakland fan has got to be super frustrating at times. Don't get me wrong. But I do also respect the fact that they know, hey, this isn't our year. We're not. We cannot win this year. There is not a path to winning. It's time to blow it up and start over. And Oakland has shown the ability to start it over pretty quickly. Have they won a title? No. I think that is largely bad luck, which is, hey, I think baseball has the most luck involved in all the sports because they've had, under Billy Beane, they've had countless teams that were good enough to win a World Series. They just didn't, right? Mm-hmm. And that sucks. But, like, I mean, 2014, when the Royals beat them in the wild card game, that team was good enough to win a World Series. They just did it. That's baseball sometimes. But, like, they know who they are. They know what they are. And, yeah, at times it sucks. But, like, I wish the Royals did that because the most frustrating part is it's not that they've been bad since 2017. It's that they legitimately believe that they have been close. That they went into just about every year. I don't want to say every year. I'm sure in some of those years, they probably had an idea. Hey, this might not be good. But in a good amount of these last 4 or 5 years, they have went into it thinking, you know what, we could make a run. We can make a run at 500, which is even more frustrating because 500 is nothing.
Doesn't mean anything.
But they legitimately believe, if we get the right breaks, these things happen, we're in it at the deadline, then we make the right move, we go get another Ben Zobrist or whatever. And they have just been so wrong about the talent that they have on their team.
It's a great point because I think that might be the most frustrating thing to be miserable at for any organization is
not meaning to tank,
right?
And tanking is frustrating
because it means maybe you can or can't evaluate externally, but you can't even judge yourself. You can't self-scout realistically. You don't know what you have juxtaposed to the rest of your sport.
I mean, they know they have good attitudes, but good attitudes don't win you baseball games, man. At least not enough of them.
You know what? Here's one thing I will add to that thing because that has come up enough now that it's a thing. It's hard to win with a bad attitude.
Yeah.
But it's impossible to win without a good team.
Yeah.
A bad attitude can absolutely cut the legs out from underneath a good organization. But a good organization with a good attitude and nothing else to show for it is not enough. That's just what that is. You can build your roster out of 53 Lance Longs. But if they're all
25 because it's baseball.
I'm remembering Todd Haley in this sacred moment, please. Thank you. Please don't.
Todd Haley likes baseball.
Scott Pioli, maybe? I think Scott Pioli said the Lance Long thing.
I think wasn't it Haley?
I don't know. It doesn't. Who's to say?
Who's to say? One and the same, am I right?
Yeah. And just one of them kind of looks like a suited up Mr. Clean, and one of them looks like Mr. Dirty, Mr. Clean's nemesis. We should have known that pairing was never going to work. That was never going to happen. It was Mr. Clean and Mr. Dirty, the GM head coach duo that was going to take back the AFC West.
God, what could have been? What could have been with those two?
What was with those two? I mean, come on. Are you kidding me?
Even better. By better, I mean worse.
All right. Well, I'm gonna take us to break here now, so I can go try to Google a couple of pictures of Scott Pioli and Todd Haley, so I can tweet out that they look like the casting of Mr. Clean and Mr. Dirty in a live-action Mr. Clean spin-off movie.
I'd watch that movie.
Say you'd watch that movie?
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app and This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
One thing that Tequila Cowboy is getting sued by me because that's my nickname.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I got mad about the Royals during the break again, so here we are. Because you mentioned, Rudy, that teams with, I don't know if it's more guts or more confidence in their own process. I do not know what the underlying issue is here. But teams that will move players with multiple years of control left on their deal, I feel like the Royals did actually buck that trend somewhere within this last year or two that I'm trying to place who it would have been. But it has just, and if that didn't happen, then I don't even need to couch this.
I think Wade Davis might have had a year and a half left on his deal.
Did Herrera? I don't think Wade Davis did.
I feel like Herrera was at the last year of his.
Maybe
as
so.
well.
So if anybody watching on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube or anything wants to remind us if what the Royals' last trade was or last couple of trades were of a player with multiple years on their deal, and it wasn't, then maybe it hurt a little bit to make that move. I don't remember if there was a specific player that I'm thinking of, but that part notwithstanding or withstanding, it feels like it has always been understood that if you were calling the Royals, you were calling them. I don't know this. This is me. I'm outside looking in here, but it felt like if you were calling the Royals, you were calling them about the players who had half a season left on their current deal. I'm trying to remember again, like a trade that may have been a little bit painful beyond just we hate to see him go. Danny Duffy going to LA is one of, it's like, oh man, forever Royal and all of that. Like that's all real and that can all be around and everything. But
he also hasn't pitched since any of that.
Yeah, exactly. And I just don't know how you survive, particularly as a small or even mid-market baseball team, when you refuse to be transactional on a level that occasionally has you giving up a year and a half. I'm not even talking about 3 full years. I'm saying if you can't bring yourself to give up a year and a half of, let's say, a player in his early 30s, which for Whit Merrifield it could have been. It could have been any number of times, contract there, notwithstanding the timing of some of those things. But you have so many opportunities to move guys in their late 20s or even now or in early 30s. If all you're willing to do is sell, you're not selling, you're renting. We literally call moves like that rentals. We literally say, all right, so they made a trade for Danny Duffy on the final year of his deal. It's a 3-month rental for the Dodgers. Let's see, what comes of it, whatever. It just feels like it's always that. Now, a couple things. I mentioned Mike Minor earlier in the show, and then again with Carlos Santana. I actually didn't mention Mike Minor. I thought about Mike Minor. I saw a tweet about Mike Minor a few days ago that I had the specific thought of, like, file this away. Remember this. Because I think it was our friend Max Reaper from Royals Review who had asked, like, is this the first time we've seen the Royals send cash with a player? Maybe I said this on the home stretch today. It's been who knows.
It was said somewhere at some time.
And I'm saying it. Someone said it sometime, and I'm saying it now. They said, they sent cash with Santana, and like he just gave him a duffel bag of cash, like, hey, just give this to the owner of the team when you get there. And then they also did with Mike Minor. Those are both John Sherman things, which is interesting because nobody in the mentions at that time had a David Glass example, which is sort of interesting. And, that not surprising. And I don't know how much that and how much of Dayton Moore ended up being a part of that conversation. I don't know if that's John Sherman and JJ Piccolo. You get your moving parts, and then finding where to put blame and credit can be difficult. But even that feels like a step in the right direction for the Royals. And again, that seems like that's an ownership thing because it's John Sherman's money. He's Venmoing the Mariners $6 million or whatever. It's got to be a test on their servers, but you really got to double check that. You got to get like the phone number and the username. You can't accidentally send that to like the Seattle Mariners, or the Seattle Mariners, where the L is actually a capital I All of a sudden, you've sent millions of dollars of cash to just some dude who is squatting on a username. Anyway. I don't know how you survive in baseball, again, unless you have money to spend to cover up your mistakes or money to spend to bring in more talent, you know? I don't know how you win as a small to mid-market team without being transactional in that way. And for the Royals, the answer is correct. You don't and haven't for a long time. If you nail the draft and get your pieces exactly right and a lot of things come together and you end up in a miracle getting Lorenzo Cain in town, then you can find your way playing meaningful baseball. I just don't think it's very repeatable.
Getting back to 2018, and the Royals, at least, and I'm at the very end of 2018 still, so I basically still have that whole year to scroll through. The lack of players that they have traded away.
Yeah,
and that might be because of the lack of good players they
right.
had. But the fact that, like, the biggest name was probably Jason Adam, who I assume had multiple years of control left, but was not good with the Royals. So, like, it was one of those little blip in the radar trades, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody remembers that Jason Adam even necessarily was a Royal.
Nope.
Okay, here's the Royals trade, Kelvin Herrera. That was back in 2018. I'm gonna click on this article and we'll see.
You check on it.
See what's up.
In the meantime, I have an analogy that I think I've pulled together here, and I wonder if it's going to work for people. I'm going to try, though. If you are one of the people who ended up in on crypto early and then got out of crypto at a good time to get out of cryptocurrencies, you made a lot of money partially by being plugged into what was happening there and to being knowledgeable about what was happening there and doing your due diligence and your work there, even if it was just scrolling through, subreddit.
He was an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year.
It wasn't him either.
He's only 32, by the way.
If you made money buying and selling crypto and you're living a better life for it now, congratulations. You played the game and you won it. But then if you spent the next 6 or 7 years trying it with whatever was next for you, and you never successfully did anything other than lose large amounts of money on an annual basis, I would not go to you for investment advice. I would no longer want you managing my portfolio. You hit it big. You bought Bitcoin before everybody was buying Bitcoin, and you sold it before anybody was selling it. That's huge. But you did that in 2015 in this analogy. If all you've done since then is lose money, I have lost my faith in you as an investor. Or even, let's say you made a bunch of money on NFTs in 2 years. I would still not go to you for investment advice because I don't necessarily think that your process is repeatable. I think you ended up with your feet on a rocket ship. When any of the digital rides to the moon that you could have gotten, you may have hit it big by getting everything right for a 2-year period. That does not mean I look at your success and I see that's repeatable, do it again, let's keep doing this for another decade. That is my analogy for the current Royals and Dayton Moore experience. They did enough right in that window for the World Series appearance and the victory the next year. That is a tremendous run, a tremendous effort, and those banners will fly forever, and that Bitcoin money in your bank will stay in U.S. dollars and will more or less be worth more or less the same, more or less forever. It's a funny time. That's my analogy for why I would not let Dayton Moore manage my money.
This would be a good question to ask, especially Lesky tomorrow, just because he just he's been a Royals fan for so long.
He's a huge NFT guy.
And just what I'm about to mention, but I just looking at trades, I think the last trade that hurt the Royals, like Royals fans, might have been Will Myers for James Shields and Wade Davis, and there were other guys involved.
Well, and that backfired so hard that they.
But that was prospects. Let's go to established big leaguers for prospects, right? The reverse. because they traded prospects for established big leaguers.
Sure.
I think the last trade of those that hurt was Zach Greinke.
Yeah, where did he go?
Milwaukee.
I can't remember. I think that didn't the Royals have an outfielder who was like the best player on that team during their World Series runs?
Alex Rios?
No.
Nori Aoki?
Not Nori Aoki either.
Who actually did come from Milwaukee, funny enough. But
no, there was a different. I think he played center field and like just crushed taters and. Like they said that like 2/3 of the earth was covered by water and then 1/3 of the earth was covered by this other guy. He probably wasn't involved in that Zach Greinke trade, right?
Alcides Escobar?
No. Still no.
Jeremy Jeffries.
I've been passing over Alcides. Implicitly, I've been saying no to Alcides Escobar every time you said his name.
Alcides Escobar.
Yes.
Did play some center field for the Brewers. Think about that. Alcides Escobar played center field for the Brewers, I think, before Lorenzo Cain ever did.
That's incredible.
Oh, Lorenzo Cain.
Oh!
Yeah, we got there.
Do we take another break?
Yeah. It can be now. It can be in 3 minutes. This would be a good question, though, for Leslie, because he just remembers Royals history better if there's anybody that forgetting. Because, like, the Wade Davis trade I thought was weird because it was I didn't think it was a bad trade, but it was one of those, it was like kind of caught in between building for the future, but also trying to win now type of trades. And I just think it's hard to do both. It's possible, but you just really can't do that with just one trade with one player, bringing in one player. Jorge Soler, obviously, like, he had multiple years of contract left. There was hope he could help them now and in the future. But it was just kind of a weird, like, there was a little stretch there where they were trying to do both, but they were trying to do both too late, basically.
Just feels like that's kind of the story. That's kind of the story of the team.
Yeah,
huh?
so I'd be interested if Lesky can remember anything other than, because I think the last, this hurts, trading up prospects for big league players was the Will Myers trade. And I think the last player for prospects trade that hurt was Zach Greinke. And I mean, like, hurt, not it's like, I really liked that, who's the card? John Jay. I liked John Jay. Like that, it was fine. You can trade John
hold
Jay.
on. Whoa, there's confetti falling from the ceiling. That's nuts. Hold on. I'm getting a note card right now. That's the first time that anyone has ever said, I really like John Jay on this radio station. That's huge, Rudy. Congratulations.
Matt Strom, maybe? Did Matt Strom hurt a little bit? I think Matt Strom hurt like a little bit.
All I really had was the John Jay bit. I don't know. I don't have anything on Matt Strom.
I think Matt Strom hurt a little bit. I mean, it certainly hurt to watch Brandon Maurer pitch.
There it is!
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
If you want to check out the best local music talent in town, then you have to come to the Final Final. The Final Final at 127th and Metcalf has live music on Friday and Saturday nights. The new Overland Park Lounge that's hiding in plain sight. The Final Final at 127th and Metcalf. Open Wednesday through Saturday, 4 p.m. to midnight, and they're serving up delicious cocktails and small bites. Look for the payphone sign at 127th and Metcalf. TheFinalFinalClub.com.
19 years in running. The Kansas City Zoo Run. Run for the Sharks on Saturday, September 17th. Register today at kansascityzoorun.org for the 4-mile run or 1-mile family fun run walk. Participants will go wild over running through the zoo, a Shark Finishers Medal, post-race expo, a Fair Trade Go X apparel tee, and a free race day admission to the Kansas City Zoo. So bring your family, friends, and running shoes to the zoo on Saturday, September 17th. To register or volunteer online, visit kansascityzoorun.org.
WHB, the station that brought the Beatles to Kansas City, that created Top 40 radio, and became America's largest all-sports radio station.
Inside the 10, all the way home!
We'll celebrate 100 years this summer with a celebration of sports, entertainment, and broadcasting. Stay tuned for a big announcement about our celebration of 100 years of WHB.
Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here from our friends at Window Nation. You've seen it. Home prices keep on rising, which means the more improvements you make in your home now, the better the return on your investment. And I'm telling you, New windows from Window Nation is one of the best things you can do, especially now. During summertime, demand is down, so Window Nation can make this incredible offer. Get 2 free windows for every 2 you buy. Plus, put no money down, make no payments, and pay no interest for 2 full years. Your home will be more attractive, more energy efficient, so your bills will go down. You extend the life of your cooling and heating systems, and you're just plain more comfortable all year round. Window Nation is the best choice. They've installed over 1 million quality windows, with 96% requiring no follow-up service. Call 866-90-NATION now, or go to windownation.com for a free in-home estimate or online quote. Call today and tell them Stephen St. John sent you, 866-90-NATION, or go to windownation.com.
Firework Mania Superstore is now open with a huge selection at the best prices. 3 miles south of Olathe on Highway 169. They have the coolest thing you'll ever see, Pyro Scan. Just scan the barcode and watch the fireworks before you buy them. Check them out online at firework-mania.com. The Firework Mania Superstore is the nicest fireworks store you've ever seen. Located just 3 miles south of Olathe on Highway 169.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
The Royals have a chance today to have the worst offensive stretch in the history of a game that's been played since Jesus was here.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We'll be joined by Sterling Holmes of the home stretch over on ESPN Kansas City here in about 10 minutes or so. I was a guest on the home stretch earlier today, and there was one thing that Sterling and I talked about briefly that I really wanted to talk more about with you, Rudy, because you said something when I walked in on Monday that has stuck with me, and I thought about this over the weekend as well. It's a joke that I intend on continuing to use, but it's also something about myself that I have realized. This is a pretty big moment. Do you remember what you said when I walked in on Monday?
Hello.
Probably shortly after that.
What's up? How was your weekend?
It was something along the lines of, we both got a haircut.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I do remember this now.
And I think of myself as a person who notices things, notices small changes, whatever. When I walked in today, I noticed that you were rocking the new all-white New Balance that you had mentioned a week or so back. I don't know if I've seen this hoodie before, but I explicitly pointed out that I dig it.
I've worn it a couple times, but I don't know if I've worn it on like days because we had since I bought it, there's just been a
nights at AS's, all that
shows.
It is just a black plain hoodie, but it looks comfortable. It fits you well.
It's very comfortable.
It's good. I like it a lot.
I'm probably going to buy this in many different colors eventually.
What kind of material is it made out of? Now that I'm looking at it
it's like
again, is it relatively thin?
Yeah, very thin, very thin. I basically call it a long sleeve T-shirt, like with the hood. Like it's thin enough. I think it's not even necessarily a hoodie. It is in my my long sleeve tee with a hood.
I might need you to drop the link. Oh, I have a new hoodie.
Kohl's.
I have a new hoodie that I was telling you about that I need to bring in at some point that I also think is a real game changer. Anyway, I say all of that to say that if you had not said, "Oh, we both got a haircut," I do not think I would have noticed that you got a haircut. This is not a criticism. This is flavor text for where I'm going. So, Rudy, how often would you say you get a haircut? Welcome to How Often Do You Groom Yourself on Almost Entirely Sports. That's the theme of the show today.
I try to about every 3 weeks. There have been times where I've gone 5, even maybe 6, but 3-ish weeks is kind of about where I'm, where I'm at.
And that's partially
I want to at least once a month.
Partially because your sister cuts your hair.
Yes.
And so you go see the family, and it's free, and so you have, a pretty good. You can get a touch up, not have to worry about what it's costing or whatever. But also,
my presence is my tip.
Exactly. That's right. That's beautiful. I imagine that you probably wrangle the niece and nephew for enough that I'm sure she appreciates.
I become the parent.
I imagine that's a trade that you're both pretty willing to make.
My sister checks out for a day, and I'm the parent. I'm the captain now.
And you got a sick new cut ready to go.
Yeah.
They don't respect you when you walk in with your shaggy hair. You get a haircut, though, and they're like, oh, yes, Uncle Rudy. Do they call you Uncle Rudy?
Yes. But they generally do say Uncle Rudy. But also, my niece is at the age where no matter what I do, she's like, oh, that looks bad. 'Cause she knows it hurts me. She knows. She knows it brings me pain. So she's like, oh, it looks better before. I'm like, what?
So what you're telling me is that your niece will harass you just to make you feel bad and for no other reason.
She is her mom's daughter.
Sounds like your niece and I have a ton in common.
She is every bit my sister was at 10 years old.
Do we think we could get her in for just like a segment of just like
Probably.
let's ruin Rudy?
It's gonna be at Great Wolf Lodge tomorrow. For them to swing by before they go.
Yes, yeah, swing through and let's just let's talk about all of your uncle's inadequacies.
Someone tells me she wouldn't be nervous to talk on the radio either.
I get that vibe. The point of that haircut portion is that I think everyone always knows when I get a haircut. Because here's the thing I've learned about myself and realized about myself. I get haircuts like an elementary schooler. I will. Rudy is crying laughing right now.
Because it's pretty good.
It's true.
Having, again, nieces and nephews, like, my nephew goes as long as possible without getting a haircut until he's just like, I have to get a haircut.
It's just how it is for me.
Yeah.
And maybe the realization, maybe this will be the time that I realize I don't have to live like this. But what I will typically do is get a haircut. And then also my general hairstyle, I can make it work.
You don't
at different lengths.
You don't look like it's not shaggy, as in like, oh, I haven't done my hair in weeks.
Right.
It's presentable.
I've got ways that I can make it work whenever it's longer. That's fine. But then eventually it gets to that, like, there is like a day when I go, oh my goodness, I want to shave off my head, my entire head, take the whole thing. And then I get a haircut, and I'm like, I just want less, please. Just, like, give me a nice fade. Leave a little bit on the top. But if you want to make me look like Thor from whenever Thor got his short haircut. Ragnarok, perfect, thank you. Then that'll do. And so I get that haircut, and then I grow it out for, like, 6 months, and I repeat that cycle. So I might need to figure that out. Hey, Sterling Holmes is next, but if you're watching on video streams, we don't get video for this hour. Don't worry about it. 18WHB.com, or you can grab the podcast. If you're listening live, Sterling Holmes is next.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Firework Mania Superstore is now open with a huge selection at the best prices. 3 miles south of Olathe on Highway 169. They have the coolest thing you'll ever see, Pyro Scan. Just scan the barcode and watch the fireworks before you buy them. Check them out online at firework-mania.com. The Firework Mania Superstore is the nicest fireworks store you've ever seen. Located just 3 miles south of Olathe on Highway 169.